Welcome to the Coaches Show. That's Preston Ingram, head men's basketball coach here at Missouri Baptist. And Coach, let's talk a little bit about the week that was. Unfortunately, we have to talk about the Missouri Valley game a little bit. Had a tough time really just shooting the basketball that night. I think you guys shot like 32% from the field. Went through some stretches where you just couldn't hit shots.
The 32 might be high.
Yeah.
I thought it was like 17.
It was much lower, and then you guys kind of raised it right at the end.
I don't know when we raised it or not, but it was, but we kind of knew that was kind of going to happen. At least I knew that going into it, and I was trying to tell the staff is we got to get back to finding an identity of some part. And so we worked nothing but defense for about 4 or 5 days going into the game. We didn't talk about anything else. We didn't do any offensive stuff. All we worked about was defense, and I thought we defended decently well. Still, I thought there was still some stuff that we needed to get better at, but from an offensive standpoint, we had no efficiencies at all. Excuse me. But what we need to be able to do is that now that we need to be able to carry off of that, and I thought we've done that pretty well. And now we talked about some offense, and that helped us in the last game. But in the Missouri Valley game, it's such a, it was not a very good situation. But what we talked about before, though, is the ironic thing about playing the Heart is that when you play the Heart, they're so well respected. And the crazy stat is that every team in the Heart of America is all playing the national tournament at some point. And I think that's a big stat. I mean, not every conference can say that. And so no matter what, you're going to get a marquee game. You're going to get a physical game. Chad Lance's teams have always been physical. They've always been tough. It's unfortunate. It's the first time since we've been playing them that we've lost to them.
Right.
But at the exact same time, though, it's something that we needed to have for us, whether I like it or not. We needed that to happen for us to get resetted.
Absolutely. Well, the flip side of that is Saturday's game against UHSP. You guys put up 103 points. You win by 35. I think you shot almost 60% in the game. You couldn't miss.
Right.
You couldn't hit a shot Monday night,
right.
But you couldn't miss, especially early against UHSP.
Well, I thought that was a lot of credit because of our defense transition to our offense. I mean, our first score was a steal by Brevin and goes down to score a layup. And then we get a defensive stop, and then we roll into three. And that happened throughout the whole entire game. And I thought once we were able to get our defense started, then we talked about transitions. And we've been putting an emphasis on that. Trying to get a little bit faster, a little bit more fluency in our offense, trying to open up the rim. And I thought we did that, but not a lot of credit to that was Brevin. Brevin got hot early on and made some shots, and it stretched them out. And then it fed to everybody else. But the catalyst stone was our defense. And hopefully we can kind of continue to build off of that because we need that. We needed a good offensive showing.
Right.
I think we talked about this also, too. We haven't had a 50% shooting night since the first part of the season.
Right.
And we went on a bad trail there, but we're back to it. We know we're capable. We just got to find somebody else to do it.
Talk a little bit more about Brevin, 24 points in that game, but we talked about this on the post-game show on Saturday. Coming out of that Missouri Valley game, looking for a spark offensively. Yep. Obviously, you guys only put up, 51 points in that game, really struggling, couldn't hit shots. You make the decision, along with the coaching staff, start Brevin, and it really paid off for you. Talk about what went into that decision.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one, if you even go back even further to Columbia, we didn't score well against Columbia.
Right.
That was a low-scoring game as well, too. And I thought we had some opportunities to be able to score some shots in that one. And then the Briarcliff game, I didn't think we scored very well.
And they scored very well.
And they scored better than what we scored.
They had the same offensive output that
right.
you guys had on Saturday.
But better.
So, yeah.
And in some ways, and so we needed to be able to find some spark in that. And, you go back to the first games of the year, although we didn't play particularly well, but when the bright spot was that Brevin led us in scoring. Right. I think he scored 14, 15 points each one of those nights. And allowed us to have a different thing. We got to get another guy whenever Hardy and Tyrell, the most two consistent scorers that we've been having all the year, we got to get somebody else going besides just Jadis. Because that's not Jadis' cup. Jadis is fed off of facilitating, defending, and getting guys the basketball. Then he can score because he's putting himself in rhythm. And Bryce and Brevin are two guys that I feel like they can do that. And basically, we kind of turned to Brevin, and Brevin, and he took advantage of it, and hopefully we can kind of keep that tide rolling. And he hit some shots early, and then we started off the second half with the action and got him a shot right away, and just kind of kept on doing it, And so hopefully we can build off the momentum going forth into our next one.
Absolutely. And Monday night's game against Missouri Valley was your final non-conference game. 10 games, starting with UHSP would be 11, but 10 games from now till the end. It's kind of a sprint to the finish. Tell us a little bit about what it's going to take, you think, now that you've been through I guess only 6 of the 7 or 8 that you're going to play, but tell us a little bit about what it's going to take to win the conference this year, now that you kind of know what's out there.
Sure, it's going to be a defensive effort.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really going to come down to it, and it's us just taking one day at a time. Not necessarily just one game. It's really just one day. Can we just continue to work on it? I'm telling guys, I'm not so much worried about who we're playing, compared to just are we playing? Are we where we need to be at right now? And I know that's cliche to say. A lot of coaches want to say that, but for us right now, we've got to be able to make a mark every single day, or we're going to take the strides where we need to each time. And the second half of the season, when we start playing these teams in the second time, some of those are going to be at home, some of those are going to be on the road. But we got to make sure that we're working ourselves every single day to put ourselves in content to try to have an opportunity, which we are. I mean, we're 5-1. We're the only 5-1 team in the league.
Right.
And that's obviously going to change after this week because we don't play Saturday. And there's going to be a catch back up. But at worst, if we're tied with Columbia at, they're both at 7-1, then we're both in the exact same content with what's happened on the backside. But we can't get to 7-1 until we get through today.
Right.
And we had a good practice this morning going into the handleable game, and then we got to have a good walkthrough tomorrow, and then we have a good game tomorrow night, and just keep on going one time at a day for us to be able to keep moving the needle.
HLG Tuesday night. Tell us a little bit about that. Jason Durst, does a great job with that program. Sometimes doesn't have the talent that some of the others, but he's a tough guy to coach against.
Well, no doubt. I mean, he runs a lot of good action. Yeah. It's like Danny over at Pharmacy. Mm-hmm. Both of them run phenomenal offensive sets. Very similar in what they run. A lot of the exact same common actions of what they do. It's a good thing that they don't have the talent of what some of the other teams that we've played this year, because if so, it would be elite. I mean, like their offensive fluencies of what they run is tremendous. And so going into the game, I mean, like they play a low possession game. They play a very half-court minded team. We need to try to speed it up on our end.
Slow you down a lot.
And they have to, try to keep the game within reach on that part. And so, we want to be solid defensively, and then we want to try to see if we can't push up the tempo a little bit and see if we can't put some pressure on the rim. And they're not obviously as big because Peters is not there. Now he's over at Woods. And so we just got to make sure we keep putting our exact same stat what we did the other night going into that one.
HLG Tuesday night and Thursday night, you make a short journey over to Harris Stowe.
Mm-hmm.
Harris Stowe in past years has been really, really tough, maybe a little bit down this year. Tell us about that.
Well, brand new coach.
Yep.
And Coach Cook came from Fort Scott and had a tremendous career over at Fort Scott and won the league over there in the Jayhawk. And, polar opposite game.
Right. They're going to go quick.
They're going to play fast. They're going to run and jump. They're going to trap you. They're going to play zoom, 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 zoom.
Yeah.
They've got a really good player in Alex Nunley that's averaging double-double this year, and he's a tremendous talent. And we know that they're going to be ready. It's going to be a rowdy crowd over there like it always is. It's something that we're going to prepare ourselves for. But again, I mean, it's a matter of whether or not if we're going to handle what we need to handle and how we want to go about doing what we're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And if we do that, then we'll be fine. If we don't, then, it's going to be for a long night on that part, and it'd be all over again, so.
Last question, HLG and Harris Stowe is your first trip through the conference this year, and then you play the back-to-backs or whatever, the second half of the home and homes. Where are you at with this team right now? Maybe scale of 1 to 10. How are you feeling about this team as far as your ability to repeat in the conference?
I feel like our ability is high.
Yeah.
I do. I feel like we have the team and the makeup. It took us a little bit to adjust. Being so big and girthy last year, it wasn't that we was old. It was that we was big and girthy, and we had 2 years together to be able to learn. And then we had a wild card in RJ. Mm-hmm. And it took us a while to be able to adjust to what we have right now. We're more skilled. We just don't have the girth and the toughness of what we've had, and I feel like we're getting that now. Now that we've kind of cut our rotations down a little bit, we're starting to see what what Nick is able to do as a freshman.
Right.
Nick has a tremendous upside to him. Every single time he's produced, he's done some great stuff. I'm very high on Nick. I think he's going to be a very good force in the back end of this thing. Hopefully, I think our defense is starting to make a turn for the better. Guys are starting to buy in to what it is that we're wanting to do and kind of understand that. We've had an incredible hard schedule. I mean, if we're not in the top of scheduling, I don't know what is. Last year we got hit because they said our schedule wasn't hard.
Right.
Well, then
you took that to heart.
I did. I did, without a doubt. And because I was upset that we wasn't receiving votes early. We was on a 14-game win streak, and we wasn't getting any respect on the part. But this year, obviously, our schedule was hard in those 6 games. We didn't win any of them, but we showed well. For what that is, I don't want to pat on the back, but what it did do is it made us grow up. And I figured that we wasn't going to necessarily be winning. If we could have maybe stole 2 of them, maybe 3 of them, I thought we was right there. But it helped us grow in the backside of this thing, and now I think the guys kind of understand what it is, what we need to do. In the last 2 games, probably before last night or over the weekend on Saturday, we had a rude awakening. And, we only played 5 games, I think it was in December, as it was anyway. But we need to knock off some rust. We need to get back. I'm still very content that I think that we are one of the top 3 teams in the league. And right now it's showing that we're 5-1. And if we continue every single day to work, I think we have a chance. But it's all up for grab right now until you go in the second half of what the season's going to be. And somebody's going to have to lose one. And hopefully, injuries don't come into play. And we're getting healthier, which is good because we haven't been. And so hopefully, I like us right now. I don't know a number, but I'm going to say that I'm high about where we're at right now.
Awesome.
I like the trajectory that we're going.
Appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Appreciate you.
That's Preston Ingram, the men's head basketball coach here at Missouri Baptist. We'll be back with the women's show in just a little bit.
Welcome back to the Coaches Show. On the women's side, that's Sam Pearson. I'm Joel Divick. And Sam, really big week for you guys last week. Obviously, we got into it in the show that we had last Monday.
Oh, yeah.
But came out with 2 wins and an improbable one in the first one against Stephens.
Yeah.
And then really defense stood out in the game against University of Health Sciences and Pharmacy. Talk to me a little bit about those games. First, the Stephens road matchup.
Sure. Yeah. Stephens on the road, man. I think that the last 2 coaches shows I've told you, Stephens is different. It's not Stephens of the old. It's not Stephens that you think is a pushover. Coach Andre Bell, man, has got Division I experience. He's now in his 2nd year at Stephens and they're night and day better. So they took us. They gave us all we can handle. Really had us dead to rights. With about a minute and a half to go, we're down 9 in that game. Found a way to just stay to the grind, keep our composure. Casey Rice hits a game tying shot at the end of regulation. So man, it was an incredible win. It was a win that showed us we had yet to have a win like this. Where it's back to back. Possession by possession, and even down late and still pull off a win, man. So that one really felt good. That one, I'd like to think really jump-started the second half of our season. Beating Stephens on the road, tough place to play, and it's an all-girls school. So the rims at an all-girls school are a little stiffer, because they don't have the men's team jumping up there, hanging on them, dunking on them all the time. So the rims are just a little stiffer. It took us a minute to adjust to those. But to really escape with the win out of there, man, was huge for us. I wouldn't say we went in there and earned it as much as we escaped with the win. So obviously they're going to come back in our place here in late February. So I'm sure that'll be a battle as well. But then on into UHSP, like you said, man, was one heck of a defensive effort for us. We locked in on the best scorer in the country, held her to one of her lowest points total all year. Sent a lot of bodies at her. We had Lauren Ebert trying to challenge every catch, make every catch that she had hard, and then just crowded her. Just made it tough on her every possession. With players who are so dynamic and score on all 3 levels. The way that she does. We just want to make every catch tough, every dribble tough, every shot contested. And I thought that we were able to do so, man, and played a really good second, third, and fourth quarter. Now they came out first quarter and really put it to us. Coach Reese had a heck of a game plan, really packed it in on us. We were unable to shoot it, especially early. Couldn't get out on transition, man. So they were playing with a lot of energy early on. But we were able to kind of withstand that storm. Basketball is a game of runs. They went up 16-6, and once we took the lead there, we didn't really turn back, man. So, they were number 1 in the conference at the time. Stephens was number 2. So to be able to beat both of those teams, and position ourselves tied for first with only 1 loss, man, it feels good. But we know our work is far from done. Our ultimate goal this season has been to host the conference tournament, and that's still the goal. And we're positioning ourselves to do so. But we got to take this thing one game at a time, and continue to get better.
Absolutely. And Stephens, you guys didn't have maybe your best performance, as you mentioned, and but really a lot of heart to pull that win out.
Yeah, oh,
and,
absolutely.
UHSP, they're coming in with National Player of the Year candidate in Grace Byer and limiting her to her lowest point output of the year, as well as the Utectics having the lowest point output this season. Really speaks volumes, I think, to the defense that you guys displayed.
Yeah, man, we had a heck of a game plan, man. We had a heck of a game plan, especially UHSP. And Stephens, man, Stephens was wide open. They're very similar to how we play. Good guard play, physical post and shooters who can really stroke it, man. So that was really that was just a survival mode for us, man. So to come out 2-0 last week, man, feels really good.
Yeah. And going into this week with those 2 big matchups, maybe a little bit emotionally draining. Now you got to turn right around and have a 3-game week.
3-game week, man. Doesn't get easy, man. Doesn't get any easier in the conference. I mean, now we're playing opponents who are at the bottom of the conference. But any given night, man, you can get beat. Any given night. So we got Hannibal LaGrange here Tuesday evening. At home, and then we'll go on the road to Harris Stowe Thursday. And, Stowe is always a rivalry, inter-town rivalry, inner city versus the more suburban team, and they think that they're going to out-tough us. We got a couple of players who were on their roster last year, so that's an extra incentive for them, extra motivation for us as well. So, so that's going to be a battle as well. And Stowe is always a tough place to play, loud atmosphere, they bring a good crowd. And then we're going to go on the road to Cotty College.
New member in the AMC this year. So haven't seen him before.
And I haven't seen him at all. I mean, other than on film. I just turned on the film here this week. But they're a tough squad, man. They just beat Stephens, at their place, playing good basketball. They shoot it well, play a good brand of basketball, move it well, guard it well. So, so we're going to travel down there Friday, get us a good night's sleep, hopefully be ready come Saturday afternoon to be us, and that's kind of our motto.
Absolutely. Coach, going a little bit into the stats of the season, an interesting fact I was looking back at, you guys don't really have like a bad loss per se. Culver Stockton is 11-4. That was your guys' first loss. You lost at their place in their home opener. Tough atmosphere to play in. And then CMU, who you played on the road, they haven't lost all season. They're a top 5 team. And finally, Columbia. We all know who Columbia is in the AMC. But if you total up the win percentage of your guys' losses, it's 83.7%. That the opposition that has beaten you, they're winning at a high clip.
And I think that speaks volumes for our group. That Culver Stockton loss was kind of the perfect storm at the time. Obviously we lost one of our best players. In our emotional leader, and Alexis Russell that game. Tiani Taylor had a hip injury. And Bryce Dow got a concussion towards the end. CMU is a bear. Any given night. Top 5 in the country. And then, like you said, Columbia is Columbia. Always the top of the conference. The prestige, the prototype of the conference. So we've lost to some good teams. And I like to think that if we run it back, against those squads, we have a better chance of winning, here now. I think we're playing a better brand of basketball with Bryce playing now and Nia Ford. And then we've changed up the lineup a little bit, adding Casey Rice to our starting lineup, man, kind of makes us a little more dynamic, being able to shoot the ball and spread it out a little more. So, man, on any given night, man, any given night you can be beaten, as well as I think that with the unit we have, we're a tough outing for anyone. We're gonna stay to the grind, man. We're gonna stay to the grind. We're gonna take it one game at a time, and hopefully position ourselves. First goal is to host the conference tournament. and then maybe win the conference tournament, and then make our second national title or national tournament appearance ever. Second national tournament appearance ever. Are the goals that we have. But again, man, that's a long ways away. That's mid-March. We're just at the beginning of January, so we got a couple months to play some good basketball and get better. Here in these next few months.
Yeah, of course. Those stats that I talked about. Right now, you guys have a scoring margin of +10. You're outscoring teams, getting 70.5 points per game. 3-point percentage, I feel like it's a little down from years past in teams that you've had.
Yeah.
Only shooting 27%.
Yeah.
38.3 rebounds per game, 14.9 assists per game. 18.2 turnovers per game, not great.
Yeah.
But 12.8 steals per game, so maybe making up for it in that regard.
Yeah, we are.
Do you think that's indicative of how this team is playing right now, or are you trying to not look at the numbers too much?
I'm not a big analytics guy. A lot of coaches now, especially now, are really big on analytics. I am an eye test guy. I look at how we're playing on the court and get a good feel based off of that. Now, sure, the stats are kind of secondary. I'd like for our assist-to-turnover ratio to be at least 1-to-1. 18 turnovers, 18 assists, or 16 and 16. I think right now it's 14 and 16 or so. But like you said, we're turning teams over a bit. And as far as 3-point percentage, man, we really started the season off struggling from the triple. Last couple of games we've hit eight or so. And I think that the percentages are going to balance themselves out. We shoot. I tell the team in practice, we shoot too well to not shoot well. The triples are going to start falling. I like to shoot maybe 32-33% from the triple. That way we're making every 1/3 or so, and it's coming. It's coming. It's a matter of sharing it, passing up good looks for greats, playing inside out. I think that when we're shooting poorly from the triple, they're forced shots. A lot of our bad shooting nights are shot selection, rather than our inabilities to shoot. So I think that we're playing a better brand now, sharing it a little bit more. I hope that our assists will continue to increase while our turnovers decrease, and then hopefully that'll lead to better efficiency as well on the offensive end.
Yeah. Real quick, just I feel like we talk about the big names on this team like Tiani Taylor and Alexis Alston, Lauren Ebert. She had a great defensive performance against Grace Byer, but the role players, like you mentioned, Casey Rice and Nia Ford, I think, are we need to give them the roses. I guess.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Nia Ford had a really big three-pointer to put you guys into a double-digit lead against the Tactics, and you guys ran with it from there.
Yeah.
Casey Rice, obviously, she almost had a buzzer beater to win it after tying it up against Stephens.
Yeah.
How do you think that those players that are coming off the bench and like the role players, like maybe a Bryce Dow who's fit into this role of being a spark off the bench?
Yeah.
How do you think they're just kind of coming up and wanting to just assert themselves?
Yeah. Well, honestly, man, we speak often about the depth that we have, which is honestly a blessing and a curse, because we can go 15 deep, but you can't really play 15 players in a game,
Right.
So there's a lot of players deeper down the bench who would like more playing time, and I'd like to give them more playing time, but it's just simply, infeasible or not, I'm unable to do so.
Sometimes it's just about how the game transpires.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. So for them to, really at the break, when we went to Christmas break, we came back, we really sat down and had a heart-to-heart of these are our roles. This is what I need from you all. Everyone can't play, but I need everyone to stay ready and stay engaged. And I think since that team meeting, man, we've really settled in. I think we settled into our roles. We understand what's asked of us. Nia Ford has really been a point guard and the composure and poise for us, especially down the stretch. Like I said, hit some big triples down the stretch. And Casey Rice has stepped in kind of as a stretch four for us, able to distribute, able to create it a little bit. And Bryce Dow is like a microwave. The way she heats up so quick, is an immediate spark off the bench. Obviously Joelle Atkins, one of the best rebounders we have.
Oh, yeah.
Kaylee Winch, back to the basket, can finish either hand. Kelsey Williams is toughness for us. Jaleesa Jordan's a tough player for us. Man, so we can, we can go on and on. I can go to Aaliyah Williams, and I can go to Talasia Morris and Casey Dagger and Liv Linneman. Man, we got a lot of depth, man. But I think that the true testament is selflessness. Everyone knows that we all play a role in a 10-3 record right now. And all I ask of them is just to be the very best in their role. Just be you in your role, and we'll be the best team.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Coach,
Yep.
thank you for the time.
Always a
Appreciate it.
pleasure, boss.
Best of luck this week.
Yeah.
The Spartans have Hannibal LaGrange Trojans at home in the Petty on Tuesday at 5:30, and then they're on the road for a couple of games, for 2 of those being this week, one against Harris Stowe State, and on Saturday they'll be on the road to Nevada against Cotty College. For Kevin Paulus, Preston Ingram, and Sam Pearson as well, I'm Joel Divick. This has been the MBU Basketball Coaches Show on the Spartan Digital Network.